Fanspeak, where the plan runs deep. The team grind hard, don't eat, don't sleep. From best ball dreams to DFS streaks, they help you print money every single week. Fanspeak. No cap, no gimmicks, we breaking limits. NFL bets, yeah, we live this business. Meg and Steve, that OG vision. Draft room killers on a lifelong mission. More stress to the Sunday spread. Fanspeak's that voice that's inside your head. Best ball, DFS, NFL bets. They built it brick by brick, no regrets. Fanspeak team, printing money since day one. Fanspeak, forever.
Welcome back to another episode of Talking Ball with Steve Speak. We are in the middle of Combine Week. Today is tight ends, DBs. Tomorrow is, of course, the big one: quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. That's what we care the most for in the fantasy space. But tons of great rumors, content coming out every which way. A lot to talk about. Also might sneak in a baseball draft today. I've been saying I want to get some done on stream, and might do one today as well. So wanna just talk ball, do drafts, and have fun today. It's a great time for NFL news and notes and reports on these prospects. We will talk about some of my predictions for some of the risers to expect after tomorrow as well. So just want to give people a couple minutes to get in here. Let's check out in chat. We got Mike Robb and get a good stretch in Steve. It's about to be a wild weekend drafting. That it is. Stephen WC. Good morning, everyone. Looking forward to Meg being on Pete's After Dark tonight. Absolutely. Meg, if you didn't hear last night on our Sibling Showdown or see it in our Discord, Meg will be on After Dark with Pete over Zet tonight at, I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern. So looking forward to that. And then I think Meg and I are going to do a sub-only show for our YouTube subs live show afterwards tonight. So I'm guessing that'll be around like 9:30 p.m. So check that out. And yes, if you're not and not members only show, I should say. So that is going to be tonight at 9:30 p.m. If you're not a YouTube member, you can sign up now. We are trying to grow the channel. We're almost at 1,000. We're going to do a 24-hour live stream when we get there. We also, of course, have our Substack 1 week free trial, but then just a one-time $34.99 payment for an entire year for all the best ball, fantasy, DFS, sports betting content you could want. And then, also you can check out our free Discord. There's a link in the description below. Plenty of great, information out there that we talk about every day. And you can also be, informed for things like Meg's show on Pete's stream or our different shows. So check it out. We'd love to have everyone in there talking ball and having fun. We've got Meg checking in. Mike saying MLB, Steve talking dirty to us today. Yeah. Trying to get more of that in. It's just haven't found time yet, and just figured maybe get one on today, get it started. Paul saying it's actually a scab intervention disguised as a member-only show. Yeah, speaking of, let's bring up that news. There have been some rumors the last couple of days that the Giants are either interested in taking Jeremiah Love with their first overall pick, which is 5th overall, or they're in the Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne markets. Those seem to be surprises. I'm sure the reporters who are saying them are getting them from somewhere, but feels more like a smoke screen, especially about the Jeremiah Love report. And then also even the free agency stuff might just be, is that coming from the agents? Is that really coming from high level team sources? Is that just, they mentioned, would you like a Kenneth Walker type player? And the coach is like, yeah, of course. Why not? I mean, who wouldn't? So we'll see. I'd just be surprised. The Giants have to really fix their defense. They have a couple of offensive linemen who are free agents. They, of course, have Wandale, who's a free agent, and they might not bring him back. But they just have a lot of other holes for a team that has Scadaboo, who sounds like his recovery is going well, and Tyron Tracy. They have gotten very cheap value with the fourth and fifth round pick from the last 2 years. So not sure if it makes big sense for them to swing for the fences at running back. But we will see. And maybe that will get Scadaboo to fall some in the coming weeks. So that could be nice as well. Meg saying, how drunk are people at St. Elmo's? That'd be so dumb for the Giants to allocate high resources at running back with somebody needs. So yeah, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. They'll probably cut Singletary and they can save a little money there. Would not be surprised if they bring in a cheap free agent or draft somebody again on day 3. But I just can't see them going out and really investing in the position. So all right, let's get into the topic at hand, or at least the topic on the promo is of some of the biggest risers. So let me just pull up the rankings and look at it from here. We'll just talk about this quick, and then we can talk about more as we go on. So, quarterbacks, I don't think there's a lot to talk about here. Fernando Mendoza doesn't do anything. Ty Simpson, even if he gets drafted relatively high in the first round, I would put the under of 6 games for him next year, over under at like 5.5 games. And honestly, I'd probably take the under. And then even a Garrett Nussmeier, maybe Nussmeier solidifies himself as a day 2 prospect. But you also have the situation where unless if he goes to the Dolphins or Browns, maybe he can work his way into starting. If he goes to the Rams or the Chiefs, he's not starting. He's just a nice insurance policy. And we'll do tight end since it is tight end day to day. From what I understand, Sadiq's expected to do all the workouts. I could see that, propel him up a little bit because I expect him to have a good number, and he's actually fallen in recent weeks. So he's currently going as tight end 15, ADP 145.8. I think it could propel him up a little bit, but I don't see a massive jump just because there's just this logjam of tight ends in this area. So wouldn't be surprised if we see his ADP spike a little over the coming weeks, assuming he runs a good 40 and all that. But the 3 guys I really think are going to test well, do well, are Eli Stowers, the Vanderbilt tight end, came with Pavia and the coach from New Mexico State. And, just last 2 years has dominated the SEC. He's very athletically gifted. He's been on Bruce Feldman's freak list. I expect him to not only test well, but also look very good in the drills. Probably the sharpest in the drills would be my expectation. So he's a guy who goes super late and not in, he's kind of going in every draft now as tight end 31. But I think he maybe moves up a round or 2 just with a really good, strong combine. Next guy would be Michael Trigg. Haven't heard anything. I'm assuming he's doing the full workout. That's my assumption. I think he's going to look great in the workout drills. Not sure if he'll look as good in the, tight end, like the gauntlet, the pass catching drills. I think there's, some limits to his game. He might have a highlight catch or 2, but also don't be surprised if there's a drop or 2. He's had some issues in the past. The intriguing one is Max Clare. He's a sneaky good athlete, really good. So I think he could test better than people expect. So that could help him considerably. And I think he's a fairly refined pass catcher. So could look good well in the gauntlet and things of that nature. The bigger thing here is, of course, running back and receiver. So for me, running back, Jeremiah Love, it sounds like he's doing everything, which is awesome to see, kind of crazy. His ADP's been moving up already. So I would expect that to continue. He might flip Saquon. I don't know if he flips Hampton. That to me is kind of nuts, but that's what we got. He is no doubt. I know it sounds like I have a lot of hate for him. I think he's a great prospect, absolutely great prospect. It's just those guys don't always end up being tremendous fantasy assets as rookies. Next up, we have the trio of the day 2 guys, guys we feel fairly confident in day 2, and that's In terms of ADP order, that's Jadarian Price, Jonah Coleman, and Emmett Johnson. Haven't heard officially what everyone's planning on doing to work out, but I am kind of expecting all three to work out. Jadarian Price, I think, will test very well. And I mentioned this on the show with Huheems earlier in the week. I think he needs a really good combine. He just hasn't gotten as much film work as these other guys. He's never been a feature back. So he needs to really show in the combine, not just the workout drills, but when he's doing the bag work and all the running back drills. The big thing is going to be the pass catching ones. He had very, very limited targets in college just because of the offense and being behind Jeremiah Love. A lot of his work came later in games when Notre Dame was up big as well. So if he shows better there, that could help him quite a bit. Jonah Coleman's the one guy who I won't expect major workout numbers, but I actually think he'll look better in the running back drills. I'm hoping he's doing those. I could actually see him fall a little bit. There's just more and more rankings have Emmett Johnson ahead of him out there. I think that will likely to continue. And so I think Emmett Johnson is going to be the riser. He's been going around 130, late 120s. And I kind of expect Johnson and Coleman to kind of flip would be my guess, where Emmett Johnson starts going in the, 105 to 115, or maybe 105 to 120 for sure. And Coleman's more in like the 130s. After that, we do have a big gap. And at running back, Katron Allen, I believe he'll work out. Again, should look really good in the running back only drills. Another guy who could use more of the passing game work because another split backfield situation, that was much more 50-50. And Allen rarely handled the passing game work. So, I don't, with Nicholas Singleton being such a great pass catcher, Allen really had to do that. So I would like to see him look good in the passing drills. I think that could help him. But honestly, after those top guys, and even Coleman has some doubters, it's a wide open backfield situation. So not sure if Le'Veon Moss is going to work out. He's getting more and more buzz. It sounds like he's healthier now, which was a concern. I don't think Nicholas Singleton's going to work out with the broken foot. I think he's just trying to get ready for his pro day, but it sounds like he might be. I thought I saw something he's going to be ready for his pro day. So that's promising for him. But because he's not working out, I don't expect him to rise. Mike Washington Jr., though, I do think will work out. And, from a size speed combo, it looks very promising. He had one of the faster times at the Senior Bowl. So, not they don't run 40s there, but they track every player. So I could see him, putting up and we talked about this with Huheems the other day. Like, he's not going to run like a 4.4, but if he runs at his size like a 4.5, 4.52, that's a really good time for him. Not sure if he can hit that, but that would be a very good time for a guy like Mike Washington. And after that, it's really, Claiborne, I do expect to run well. That could, maybe he starts going in the 210s, 205. I don't think it's going to drastically change his draft stock. And, these other guys, like, they're barely drafted to begin with. So I don't think anyone pops to the point. Like, Le'Veon Moss would be the one. He's ranked. A lot of people have him ranked among the top 8 of backs. He missed a lot of time this year and some in the past. He's definitely, when he's been on the field, been a very good running back. So if he's healthy and can look well, I expect good things. A later round guy who I like is Jaden Ott, another Freaks List guy from Bruce Feldman's Freak List. His freshman, sophomore years at Cal was excellent. Unfortunately, the last 2 years hasn't really done much, but it sounds like he's healthy now, ready to go. I think he could help himself, but he goes, that would make him going from undrafted to around 1920s. So not a big, massive thing there. Wide receivers, I do think, becomes very interesting because we've gotten some information here. Jordan Tyson doesn't sound like he's going to do anything. Mekhi Lemon is only going to do the gauntlet and the wide receiver receiving drills. So no workout numbers. We're also going to get his official height and weight, and hand size and arm length. So those things might not be as promising as people want. And then Carnell Tate, I saw today, he said he's going to run the 40, but that'll be it. So I expect he puts up a big 40 time. Since the other two are basically doing no workouts, I think that'll cement Tate as the first of those receivers drafted, but probably doesn't spike him too much. The guy who could really spike is Denzel Boston. He is going, let's see, it's like ADP 105, 107.1. Yeah, he's been falling. I think he comes up. Sounds like he's doing everything, all the workout drills, all the positional stuff. So he's probably the highest consensus wide receiver doing everything, and that should be just a big boon for him. I expect him to run well. Again, probably not like a 4.4 flat, but he could be in the high 4.4s, maybe low 4.5s for a much bigger receiver. I'm imagining his jumps are pretty strong. And then, as long as he doesn't look terrible in the wide receiver drills, I expect him to go up. I would expect potentially him going to like the late 180s because I think he's going to have a lot of buzz for being a clear first rounder. The other guys who I kind of expect to create some buzz is Casey Concepcion. Haven't officially heard what his workout plan is, but I'm expecting him to work out, expecting him to be fast. And also his big thing will be the gauntlet drill, and mentions to him the other day, like some of the receiving drills. If he looks good there, because one of his biggest questions is his hands. And for the first couple of years of his career, he was very much a gimmicky receiver, like a manufactured touchdown guy. This last year, he got more opportunity to show his route running ability. I thought he really improved and looked good in that area. So if that continues and he shows decent hands, that will help him. I think it'll just create a lot of buzz. Again, another high-end receiver who's doing all the workouts would be beneficial to him. The guy who probably jumped the most is Omar Cooper Jr. I saw he is in Daniel Jeremiah's top 20. He's like right behind David Boston. So I think that's a pretty good bullish take on that. I'm expecting him to work out, look great. He should look great in all the pass catching drills. He should look great running. Again, probably not like a 4.4 flat guy, but 4.46, pretty decent jumps is what I'm expecting from him. So he's going to make a jump because he goes so late. I mean, he's still going, he's just barely flipped Surratt, his college teammate. But after this, he could jump up to like the 140s. I think it's that big of a jump, and in part because we have so many question marks in this range. And with more and more draft analysts putting them locked in their top 50, but more locked in like the top 30, and a good showing in essentially prime time, I expect him to really rise. Surratt could fall. He generally falls a lot as is, but I think it'll be a mixed bag. It kind of just depends on what he runs. He's not going to blow anyone away with his speed, but his jumps could be good. I expect him to look good in the drills, so might be able to generate enough buzz there to be okay. The other question is Branch. He has been Zachariah Branch. His ADP is now 196. A lot of people have him as a top 50 prospect still, top 40 even, some even in top 30. And he should run well. The problem is he's such a manufactured touch guy. I think this is a bit of fool's gold. Some people will try and make the comp maybe to a Luther Burden. I think Luther Burden was a much more complete receiver coming out. So I would be wary of Branch if he rises. I think, and I expect him to kind of do, just because he should run fast. So concern there. A couple other ones I think who are going to be interesting are going to be just really late guys like Chris Brazell, who goes pretty late now, is drafted basically every time at a 214 ADP. If he runs fast, he's going to fly boards. He was the guy somebody asked, like, who who could help themselves or hurt themselves the most, to me, is Chris Brazil, because if his 40 time is great, he's going to fly up the boards. If it's bad, he's going to really hurt himself. And, you know, I think there's definitely a few others, like Deion Burks should have really good times. Brendan Thompson should have good times. These are kind of like, you know, to me, maybe they sneak into the third round of the draft, more like fourth round players. So I'm not really drafting them right now. I don't have a lot of interest in them. I could see them rise a little bit with just some hype, but I'm right now not considering them. But their combine numbers are part of the process and could, you know, if kind of similar to like a Kyle Williams last year, who, you know, started the process as more like and DK was another one. You know, they started the process more considered like fifth round players, went to, you know, like Kyle Williams Senior Bowl, and then the combine, having good results there, DK good results there. I think that helped push them up the board to like third, fourth round. Does that guarantee them fantasy impact? No, not at all, but could make them more draftable. So I want to see these numbers for these guys. I'll consider them afterwards, but I'm not really too worried about them right now. So that's my like breakdown on it. We can talk about it more. And let me get back to chat, and then we'll get into a draft. Who I'm saying, sup fam, might have skipped work today. Nice. I'm going to scoop a bunch of Coleman when he falls to 160 after expected 4.58 40. Yeah, that would be nice. I assume Steve already covered Jordan Renan being unreliable, so I'll rewind. I didn't say that, but I definitely thought it. He's been one of the ones most talking about this persistent rumor of the Giants being all in on running back. And I'll just say the last 2 years, he was the guy who said Scadaboo was not going to be a factor. You know, it was, I can't remember. It was like after the first preseason week or something, he had this report, and I can't remember the percentage split, but he thought Scadaboo was just going to be worked in slightly. And then I looked back because the year before he had said the same thing about Tyron Tracy. He thought Devin Singletary was going to be the 80% back, which there are very few of those in the league to begin with. So back-to-back years, he's just totally whiffed on the Giants' backfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's going for the trifecta here. Whatever you do, chat, don't look up Freaks List to see what list Steve is talking about. Those results are wild, but educational for sure. Yeah. So let's get into a draft. And let me put all right. And I think we'll start with the big board draft, then I think we'll pivot to baseball, and then end with the big board, another big board draft. So let me count it down. And in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So waiting on 6. So some other news and notes. There was a report Tyler Allgeier's looking for like 3 years, $22 million. I think that's a good range for him. You know, we just saw Javonte get 3 for 24. So, you know, I think that's super promising. I think, you know, I expect him to have a pretty good market. Like, I think these second tier running backs, him and Dowdle, especially, you know, potentially like Kenneth Gainwell and Rashard White as well. Teams are going to look for them. Teams are going to hunt for them. So yeah, I expect him to probably find that pretty well. And it's also why, like I say, if for some reason, say the Jaguars or the Seahawks for that matter, move on from their star running back, expect for them to target guys like Rico Dowdle or Tyler Algier. Like I don't think, Michelle Tootin or George Holani are going to be the lead backs going into next year, especially by their own. I mean, they could target a lower option like a J.K. Dobbins or Najee Harris or Rashard White to Jacksonville. Obviously there's a Cohen tie there as well, but even still, like expect these teams to, a lot of teams to be looking at these second tier backs. Waiting on two more people. And hopefully, I am surprised these drafts aren't filling as fast today. Last year, I just seem to remember the combine being a lot more drafts being done. So maybe they'll pick up tomorrow with the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and of course it being a weekend. But we'll have to see. So waiting on two. And one thing, I was looking on Twitter about the Zachariah Branch stuff. I know, the Underdog guys covered this, but Zachariah Branch, 51% of his targets were screens last year. Like when we say manufactured touch guy, he's the epitome of that. And most of his non-screens were also very simple short routes with the hope that he would, use his speed and agility to make some plays. That it's tough to project that kind of profile to the NFL. There are some guys who can quickly change and grow, but he's just not a guy. I mean, he's been used the same way for 3 years, and it just kind of feels like that's who he is. And there's a role in that, the NFL. It's just much more limited. All right, so I'm in the 2 spot. I don't recognize anyone's name in chat or from chat. If you're in here, feel free to say hi. But we will draft in a second. Yeah, don't understand. Thank you for posting in Discord. Hopefully we'll see the fill rates pick up. I also think this is the other issue with them. Paul mentioned this in our Discord about the little board fill rate, and if they were to post something else, or even if it was the little board too, both would probably fill faster. I think in general, by them limiting the little board, and Al Boogie talked about limiting the little board to 50. I think, I know Paul is already done. He's done all his drafts. But I think a lot of people just don't want to risk running out of drafts. We still have essentially 2 months before the big board's going to be out. So, with a 20 max little board, 150, not everyone's going to do 150. So I think people are more hesitant without knowing that there's more out there. We got Donnie Murphy. He's in the 5th spot. King Lives. Oh, I see RM Covers. Oh, nice. I missed that the first time that RM Covers is in here. I'm not sure if he's in chat, but definitely seen him before. King Lives 33 is Donnie. So yeah, I would love to see Underdog say that they're putting out another contest, whether it's the little board 2 or even like a smaller, like $4 or $5 contest, like maybe a 10 max, maybe a 20 max there. I actually think it would generate more drafting in things like the little board and big board, as people would be less worried about running out of drafts. Nice, Elvis fan. All right. King lives, not lives. Yeah, and this is a good point. Both drafters and DK have now, launched their products. They're out there. So, some people are maybe more focused on those right now to catch up, and also to save space, like Flyfish mentions here. Because little board, I'm doing most of mine slow right now, but I'm like 13 or 14 either done or going, and so I have just a few left. So coming up here, Love goes. I will take the franchise man himself, George Pickens. He got franchised officially by the Cowboys today. I expect him to work out a long-term deal. I think he's good value at the turn here. So I'll go Josh Jacobs. I think on my next rankings, I will bump Bucky back up, but probably not to, ADP 27-ish. I worry about his touchdown upside. I think that could limit him overall. Still a very good running back, but, kind of closer to the DeAndre Swift than the, Josh Jacobs side of things. Mike saying yes, Elvis Garback is still alive. Doing CBS college football broadcast. Oh, love it. Less worries about combine results, but free agency will be a huge driver of big board clicks. I do agree with that. I think both these things hand in hand are going to shift things. I guess to me, I just remembered last year, I was doing drafts and they were filling pretty quick, and just seemed to be more push for it last year. But like I said, it could just be really picking up tomorrow. Because that is obviously what most people are going to worry about. Kicks checking in. Appreciate that. So sitting at 0-1. Meg and I did a couple different builds last night, and one was a 0 RB, one was a hero RB. And it just really shows, like, right now, there's certain pockets where it's tough to do. We had the first overall pick trying to do the 0 RB, and you feel okay pulling up a Chase, or if you prefer Puka to one, that's fine. But it's in this second, third, fourth round range where you're generally going to have an RB option, and if not, you're going to take a receiver option, and not all of them are great. Did see the NFL finalize their cap and franchise tags and stuff. That's all coming out. I mean, most of these teams pretty much expected it, but like the George Pickens franchise number, I saw 27.29 million. So slightly less than, most people were calling it 28 million. So not that that's a big savings or big surprise. I don't think the franchise tags are going to change much in what people decide to do. So I'm going to take Loveland here. I want to get more of him. And I'll see what I do with this other pick. Let's just take Carnell Tate. Yeah. So, and like the tight end franchise was 15 million. So that's a little less than people were expecting for Kyle Pitts as well. But again, they're expected to work out a long-term deal. So those matter at the start of free agency, aren't going to matter at the end. I mean, makes it maybe slightly more palatable for the Colts to have to put the franchise tag on like Alec Pierce if need be, but I don't expect that to be a big change. And yeah, the salary cap this year is 301 million, but so many ways to maneuver the cap money around, which is nice. I actually think that's a good thing for the NFL versus other leagues with salary caps. It allows them to, push money into future years and in a reasonable way. Got Paulino checking in. What's up, Steve? Doing well. Hope you're doing well, Paulino. In a big board now. I think I'm going to pivot to a baseball draft next, and then probably come back to the big board. So appreciate everyone for joining, liking this episode. We appreciate it. Yeah, free agency is about 10 days away. So I think, between the tampering period and start free agency, that like 4 or 5 day window, should be a lot of fun movement. A lot of more cuts, particularly these quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, but also tight ends. Last year was not a big free agent year for tight ends. This year, that is quite different. Even with Kyle Pitts being retained by the Falcons, you've Goddard, likely, Otten, Chig, a couple others like David Njoku could get some cuts or trades like Hawkinson. So tight end is one that we don't always see a ton of movement with, but this year is going to be more movement than most. And one to track is probably Charlie Kohler. If he gets a landing spot, there's some teams that could view him as like a complete tight end. And sure, I don't think he's going to be challenging anyone for a top 5 tight end role fantasy wise. But if he gets like a true starting gig, it's paid that way. The reports come out that that's how they view him. He's definitely a guy we should be mixing in the last couple of rounds. This is just not an area that I love. I take Ricky P here. I feel like Washington and Wilson are two of the more mispriced guys right now. Could pull up Dak. I think I would do that. Polino asking, I've seen a few reporters connect Tate to the Chiefs. What do you think of that situation for Rice if that happens? Well, I mean, the biggest issue for Rice is he playing, and how much is he playing next year? And Tate falling to 9, there are absolute scenarios. Like when people say, no, that can't happen, that's insane. Obviously can happen. We see it every year. We see guys fall that we don't expect. We see guys go to landing spots that we never expect. We never expected Mbuka to Tampa last year or things of that nature. So, so what I will say is if the Chiefs take Mekhi Lemon, that's a terrible thing for Rice, because Lemon and Rice play the same role, primary slot, move the chains over the middle. That means the Chiefs are not planning on Rashee Rice having a big impact on their team going forward. Tate, I think, would probably hurt Worthy maybe the most, just because Rice will still retain that role, though Worthy can play inside also. So maybe it would be a situation where they're viewing both more inside and then Tate outside. Because Tate, one of the values with Tate is he can play every wide receiver position. Now, on the Chiefs, I would not expect him to be a slot. They need an outside vertical threat. He absolutely fills that bill. And I do think he could, in terms of yards and touchdowns, he could be the number one. Now, like, let's say Rice plays a whole year next year, he could still lead in targets. And kind of the same thing if they were to go like Jordan Tyson, or if they trade back and take a Denzel Boston, same sort of argument, situations. Jeff Cooley, crazy take, Evans to the Raiders. Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see where Evans wants to go. Like, Evans is generally, the reports are he wants to be on a contending team. That can still be the Bucs, or of course teams like the Bills and stuff. But sometimes money talks. Maybe he's a big fan of Vegas. Vegas, no income taxes could be something he wants. Who knows? But he has that in Florida right now, so don't know if that'll be a big switch there. But yeah, I think Kubiak would love that. Would love to give his young quarterback a top end veteran to help him develop. But I think it's unlikely, just because I think if Evans is not in Tampa, the teams like the Bills, 49ers, Chiefs, etc., could come calling and come find a way to pay him. Sure, Chiefs are over the cap. They have a lot of needs, but if they can get Mike Evans for 1 year, their window's now. They would, I would not be surprised if they do it. Let's just take a second quarterback here. Purdy, another piece of the stack. I took Price before, so now I can wait if need be on my third quarterback. Just not a huge Addison fan here. Rico, I think, is fine. And I have a good chunk of Denzel Boston also. I definitely could have taken him, because I think a week from now, or not even a week from now, 3 days from now, I think Denzel Boston is going to be definitely going in this range if he has a decent combine. Like saying, Steve, stop hurting my Ravens corner, needs to have low market so he can come back. I would be shocked if he's back in Baltimore. My guess is, even in a secondary market, like tight ends like John Bates and trying to think of the guy on the Vikings. These secondary, like, blocking tight ends are getting $7-8 million a year, sometimes even a little bit more. So Kohler is definitely known for that. I think he actually has more pass catching ability than some of these guys. So I'm expecting he ends up like $8 million plus a year. Yeah, Flyfish saying, I go Pearsall in that spot. Almost always feels like a mispriced range, so why not bet on wide receiver, round one, draft capital wide receiver? And exactly. That's how I feel. And I just feel like, even if the 49ers bring in Mike Evans, or they bring in, let's say Alec Pierce is a free agent, or, whatever, or draft somebody, like Alec Pierce at worst should be the number 2 on that team. And, if they bring in a slot guy, he can play more outside. If they bring in an outside guy, he can play more in the slot. Like, he's very versatile. And, it's also a team, George Pickens going to be recovering from a serious injury. So there just might be less tight end targets, particularly early in the year as well. And Pierce, like, he didn't have touchdowns last year, which obviously we're hunting for touchdowns, but that feels like bad variance. It does not feel that he's going to be, like, he shouldn't be a low touchdown guy. And especially, like, while Mac Jones filled in admirably, Brock Purdy is, missed a good chunk of time. So it's like Pierce should play more and get more touchdowns just naturally. And then the quarterback play should be better next year. Just a lot of positive for Pierce. Pearsall. Pierce, I also think, is in that ballpark, whether back with the Colts or somewhere else. Wow, if I could get Denzel Boston back, that would feel really good. I'm not expecting it. Okay, I did got it. Okay. For a guy that I was willing to take at 98, or 90, 95, yeah, that feels good. Just take another rookie who I think is going to move up. I mean, kind of like Higgins or Debo here in general, but Concepcion, I think, could be moving up. So let's take some more shots at, at cost versus paying a higher freight in a couple weeks. I'm saying Tate isn't going to fall to 9, and if it does, Kansas City will have to run that card in that record speed. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say never say never. I mean, I think it's more unlikely, but it's one of those things. If like Lemon looks better than expected, if Tyson looks better than expected, also you could just have receivers get pushed down with these elite defensive players. I mean, we saw what Sonny Styles did. Josh Downs is gonna, or not Josh Downs, Josh Downs' brother, Caleb Downs, is going to be working out today. If he puts up a number, Arvell Reese, Bailey, maybe Bain, like those top 8 picks could have a lot of defensive players, probably a couple offensive linemen, and we know Mendoza. So it's like there's 7 other names that need to, 7 other teams. So, if like Love goes in the top 8, there are paths where there's not a receiver taken until 9, or it's a case somebody took Lemon ahead of Tate, or somebody took Tyson ahead of Tate. That could get him there. And yes, having Xavier Worthy run that card up would be the way to go. Bryce could get a half-year suspension after already having 16, plus the dudes who wore the free for shirts should also get a game suspension. Yeah. I mean, it's just wild, be it all the Chiefs players need the free race last year. Whoops. Yeah, I don't think it's so, like, from the grand scheme, like, they shouldn't spend on a win now player. I will say, like, having just a Hall of Famer for your rookie quarterback could still have long-term value for the team. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Like, much better if you're going to spend on receiver, like a young guy like Wandale, a mid guy like Rashid Shaheed who knows the offense, guys like that. That would be my expectation for them at the receiver position for sure. I think Romeo Doubs would make a lot of sense also, kind of like an in-between guy, never going to be a star, but fairly reliable. Take Dobbins here. This is closer to where I have him ranked, and probably a guy I'm going to move up in my next rankings. Don't have a ton of them. So Cam Ward goes, that would have been my click, but I will just pull up Daniel Jones. I don't mind going to that Rodgers Cousins range, but Dan Jones just feels better. Even if he misses early games, should be good to go. So in terms of like overall top 3 rookies, I rank them Tyson, Tate, Lemon. I recognize like Tyson is the injury concerns and probably is the most volatile of these, but I think he does have the highest upside. I think Tate is like the safest guy across the board, and Lemon is the projectable like slot guy, but he just kind of needs the right offense. Like if he goes to, an offense similar to what Ben Johnson runs, he'd be great. I mean, that's not going to happen though. He's not going to go to Chicago and obviously not going to Detroit, but I think all 3 are very, very good prospects, and I expect them all to kind of go out the board in the top 15, 16 picks. But those are my top 3. And because I think landing spot will end up being the biggest determinant factor, I kind of want to have flat exposures to the 3 of them in the pre-draft process. They all go in roughly the same range. And, I think it will likely be most determinant on how good they are based on where they land. And in terms of like better values, I think like Denzel Boston, because you're getting like a 40, 50 pick discount, is really nice. Concepcion's kind of in the same ballpark. And then guys like Omar Cooper Jr. and Surratt, I think are excellent values as well. Josh Oliver, thank you. Yeah. No, that's, it's crazy. Like the Vikings might need to trade or cut Hawkinson this year. And I know he's coming off a down year, though everyone was. And it's just one of those things like, yeah, they Cooper went. I was hoping I could get him. It's just one of those things I could see them, they need to bring in a pass catching tight end, but they paid Josh Oliver. Let's take Troy Franklin. He's been sliding. I don't fully get the slide. I don't see Denver making a big investment. I mean, there's definitely outs where any of these 3, Franklin, Bryant, or Mims, ends up being more solidified as the number 2. We will go, I like DK here, but I'm going to take Hunter Henry. With the way defenders are performing, wide receivers have a tough task. Performing at the combine, Paulina says, and yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, don't be surprised if outside of Mendoza, we don't see. Remember a couple of years ago, the wide receiver and quarterback draft, and Bowers as well. There wasn't, the first defender was drafted at like 15, 16. I can't remember right now, and it was like the longest time for a defender until a defender got drafted. Obviously, Mendoza will check the offensive player off the list, but after that, we may not see a skill guy. I mean, Love could be in the mix, but Love or receiver might not see it until 8, 9, 10. Depends on what Washington does, depends on what the Titans do. Giants, I don't think end up going offense. I think they just have too many defensive needs. Jets, I think, are kind of locked in at probably an edge, either Bailey or Argyle Reese. So, there's definitely a couple wild cards. And then some of those teams I mentioned, like Browns, Titans, they could go offensive line as well. So there might not be a receiver taken. Yeah, that's how we could see teams like the Chiefs. And also, if some of those receivers start falling, then you definitely could see like the Bills trade up for one. The Bills probably going to trade up to top, 6 or 7. But if, 8 is there at 8, maybe they trade up. But or somehow like it's there at 10, 10, 11. Yeah, I could see him trading up. And they also could view Tyson the same way because he can play outside. All right. So coming up in a couple picks. I'm sitting at 3-4-6-2. King Lives 33 is at 3-6-5-1. Not sure if Arm Covers is in here. 1-6-7-2. That's all I see in here. So I'm done at quarterback. Could add to any other position here. Don't mind Vidal if he's there. I think that is where I would go. Actually, I like DK more. I think there's just a bigger fall there for DK, and I think DK could generate more buzz throughout the process. And I still get Vidal. And I knew the turn had Cam Ward, so I thought there was a better chance to push Vidal. I'm surprised they went to running back and still was able to push him. But yeah, that worked out for me. Yep, yeah, Dubs I think makes a lot of sense to the Raiders. Kind of is that not going to break the bank. He'll get a good contract, don't get me wrong, but can be that X red zone weapon, young enough, pretty reliable. That would be a good fit for them. Raiders are in wouldn't mind winning out mode. That they are. I do think they try to make some sort of splash, but yeah, I mean, Evans, as fun as it would be, I just don't think that is. Our owner is an idiot who's fallen for several head coach GMs, convincing him our roster isn't, quote unquote, isn't far off. Raiders of World would have signed Evans in a heartbeat. My read is will be more measured. I think so too. And I also just think they'd have to throw just such a massive bag at Evans, because I don't really get the feeling that Evans wants to leave Tampa. And to me, if so, it's a contender. And we could throw a team like the Ravens into the mix. Like, they are 100% a contender, obviously. And they need an outside receiver. So, my Commanders could be in the mix. We've had the oldest roster in the league the last 2 years. You don't think they'll be afraid of Mike Evans? And Evans and Terry McLaurin would be one hell of a 1-2 combo. Now in almost their zone. I actually think, obviously, a very tough division with 3 elite quarterbacks. Knicks I don't want to put in the elite category yet, but good. And very tough division for the Raiders, but I think they got the right coach. I think, they have a couple star guys and Gentine Bowers. And I think Mendoza's a legit quarterback, so it should be fun. The only blockbuster wide receiver we should be in the market for is a tag and trade Pickens recipient. Yeah, well, the tough thing with that is you'd have to give up at least one future first round pick, and probably more. But you're not gonna trade just their second for him. So maybe it could be like this year's second, next year's first. But that's a lot to pay for. All right, not really loving where running back's at. This running back thin out real quick. So let me take Devin Neal here. Let me take Gunnar Helm first. We keep sniping the Titans from the Cam Ward guy. But I have a lot of Kate Otten. I like Helm over Mason Taylor, just think a better offense. And with this guy having 6 running backs, I don't think I need to. I can probably get Neal there, particularly with where his ADP is. As far as Kansas City, I just don't see him going for wide receiver or running backs in round 1, where you can maximize free agency wide receiver scheme, they should have access to 2 OTs or downs. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think the issue is for Kansas City, if like offensive linemen go early, then maybe they just take best skill guy available. I'm gonna take Neil here. If the receivers go early, then they probably have a shot at one of the top offensive linemen. So they're kind of in a good spot, I think, in that regard. I mean, they need to address both areas. If I'm them, I address, like you said, free agency, wide receiver, and running back. Also, it's a pretty deep wide receiver class, so they could take some shots in the second, third round and get some guys. Running back is a little thinner, but so, you know, I don't think Tyler Algier is the perfect fit for them, but I could see them go with one of these second-tier running backs in free agency. I mean, that's true, but they generally have invested second, third, fourth round receivers outside of Worthy, and Worthy actually had a good year down the stretch. It looked like he was breaking out. We saw what he could do in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, last year gets injured early, just not the same. So that, I think, was part of the issue. But no, I could see them looking to address more via free agency. The deep wide receiver class, it could push them down too, as teams may be willing to wait a bit. Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely possible as well. Thank you for jumping in, Miss Yelting. Appreciate you chatting. Yeah, well, it's just, like I said, like some of these teams, not Washington. Washington currently doesn't have a second round pick, but a team like the Saints, who could absolutely use a number 2 wide receiver. Most of these teams have their number 1 set, whether Washington, Terry McLaurin, Saints with Chris Olave, Titans and Browns don't, but also I just think Browns, I feel like, have to go offensive line, and they have a first round pick, so they could take a receiver later in the first if need be. But yeah, some of these other teams have their number 1 wide receiver set, so that's even less pressure. Like, yes, Washington needs another wide receiver. Yes, the Saints need another wide receiver, but do they have the pressure to pull the trigger at 7, 8? And like, people will tie the Giants to a wide receiver in the first round, and I just don't see that either. With Neighbors, it's just not the priority. So we're gonna make this last pick, and he'll be a receiver to round out this team. No idea what a fair amount, but why not Keenan Allen? Just no other receiver is going to return more value. We're not actually hearing anything about Keenan Allen retiring. The Chargers said they would mind him back. I mean, I'm sure other teams would take a shot at Keenan Allen. The team we mentioned, like 49ers, there's been comments before that Keenan Allen wants to be on the West Coast. So that would make a ton of sense. So, if he's playing, I think he's just returning massive value. So slight retirement risk, but overall, I think it is pretty good. I end up with 3-6-8-3, Dak, Brock, and Daniel Jones. Like that quarterback room. DJ ends up being unstacked, but I don't care that much. Gibbs, Jacobs is like my double anchor, then Price in the middle, Dobbins, Vidal, and Devin Neal. Also like the price I'm getting on guys like Dobbins and Vidal as well. There's a chance maybe the Chargers bring in another back, but if not, Vidal is, to me, that's a great price for the number 2 back in what should be a very good offense. Wide receiver room, George Pickens, Carnell Tate, Ricky P, and Denzel Boston. So really only 3 in the top 100, but then I hit Boston Concepcion back-to-back. Both have value, so a lot of rookies, potentially 3 first-round rookies. in this. And so then I went with some more veteran guys. I mean, Troy Franklin and DK are young, but they seem to both have paths for at least number 2 roles. And then Keenan Allen, like I just said, just could be a tremendous veteran somewhere. Not a top 10, top 15 receiver anymore, but we saw what he could still do with the Chargers. We saw what he could do 2 years ago with the Bears. Still put up a number of good weeks. And then, Loveland, Hunter Henry, Gunnar Helm, took the earlier tight end here, and then 2 other insurance tight ends. That feels like pretty good. Let me just go over King Lives team real quick, because I didn't end up seeing RM covers in here. And then I'll go chat, and then I am going to pivot to do a baseball draft, but don't worry, I will be back doing football to round it out. But I did want to do some baseball. We can still talk football during the baseball draft. Just so if anyone wants to do a baseball draft, we will get that done in a second. But King Lives went 3-6-7-4. Herbert, Darnold, Stroud, so 3 starting quarterbacks. Harvey, Swift, Stevenson, 3 running backs we feel relatively good about. I don't love Harvey's price, but it's still, we saw some upside with him. And then adding guys like David Montgomery, James Conner, and Aaron Jones. So this is, 3, backs, more veteran backs, but all could end up with, above average to very good roles, where they end up and what situations end up being. So I like that running back room as a whole, and feels good. Even if Harvey isn't, worth the 44th overall pick, he's still going to be a usable fantasy asset, right? And you have enough talent on this team where if that, you took him too high, so what? It's still a good offense. I actually need to do more of that for a guy like Harvey and Henderson. I have a tough time taking them at their current ADPs, but it's not like they're zeros. JSN, Nico Collins, AJ Brown, 3 top end receivers. Still get Quentin Johnston in top 100. Jaden Higgins, what a fall on that. I think that's tremendous value. Then Tesla and Mims also had value. So just scooping up value there. Easily see why he's stopping at 7. 4 late round tight ends, and really could have 4 starters. AJ Barner, Theo Johnson, Pat Fryermuth, probably all the starters on their current teams. And then Kate Otten, a free agent, whether Tampa or somebody else, probably ending up as a starter. So getting value on some of these guys as well is nice. So let me catch up with chat, and then we will get into a baseball draft. How much is he going to want, assuming this is his last year? Evans, I still think he's going to get $20 million. Now, you can put in void years, so his actual cap hit could be less. But, just going back to the Raiders, it would make less sense for them, because you don't want to be paying him money next year and he's not on your team. A contender that can make perfect sense. Also, don't be surprised if he signs a 2-year deal and adds void years. That's what he signed with Tampa the last time. If I could see him just saying, you know what, I'm going to play 2 more years. Particularly if it's back in Tampa, I could sign a 2-year deal. But can you handle looking at Dobbs' helmet all year? Well, hey, if it keeps him from getting concussions, I think it's fine. Too many receivers are getting concussions down the stretch. We are not close. Steve knows the division is brutal. Defense is completely devoid of talent outside of Crosby. Our line hinges on good but aging LT. We should be competitive 2027. All goes well. Yeah. OSU Missy. Sorry, were you in that draft? Let me just bring it up real quick. No, I've definitely seen the screen name before. Don't like the 4 tight ends, but couldn't pass it on. Yeah, I think it's fair. And you went later on tight end, and I think you're more than covered Otten could just help ensure your tight end room is more competitive with like my tight end room that has a Loveland, So I get it. Oh, arm covers wasn't there. Let me just go over the team real quick. 3-7-8-2 Daniels, Rogers, Cousins. So hopefully they're both back, but probably at least one's a starter. Plus with Daniels, so taking two shots at it. And actually, I think they're, more if Rogers retires. I don't think Cousins is going to retire. JT, Saquon, Breece Hall, so 3 early backs. Ben Tootin, Benson, Singleton, and Jordan James. Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr., Juwan Jennings, Matthew Golden, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Surratt, and Malachi Fields. Fields is another one I didn't mention before. I could see him having a pretty good combine as well. I like how this wide receiver room turned out. McLaurin, DK, I think are very fine picks where they're going. Pittman Jennings, it's like, yes, he waited, but I like the late rookies, just some upside plays. Like, is this an elite wide receiver room? No, but Terry and DK can both be like top 15, top 20 guys. Pittman can be like a top 25 guy. You're going to need your flex to hit more from the running back room. Hopefully that more ideally is Hall, or sometimes your tight ends who are very good at Laporte and Ferguson. So, like you said, it's not your favorite build or your normal build. I think you made the right call on Kirk over Deshaun Watson. I know there's been some talk that Watson could have a chance. I'm just not seeing it. They cannot afford him to. It's just too many issues, and I would be shocked if they're saddling Todd Monken with that. Like, give him the head coaching job. They gave him a long-term deal. It's not like, yes, they could fire him after a year, but I would be shocked if they kind of force him to play Watson. We got Jamie checking in. Doing well. Just saying that's a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, give me 1 second. It's also like a relative thing because like Pickens was just franchised. It's going to be 27 million plus. We'll probably sign a long-term deal. They'll probably be in the T. Higgins neighborhood of like 30 million plus. So, and that's multiple years. So in a way, like look, I love George Pickens. I think he's a good value, but Mike Evans, a healthy Mike Evans could be, I'm not saying we should draft him in the second round, but when we flip over the cards week 17 next year, Mike Evans could have been worthy of a second round pick. In the same vein as like a George Pickens. Just historically, that's what he's been. He's been a top 10 receiver most of his career, fantasy wise. So, and same like Alec Pierce is going to get somewhere in that like 26 to 29 million dollar a year range department. So I kind of expect, you could say Mike Evans, and also if it's a 1 or 2 year investment, it's just a much more, it's a better investment. Now, granted, this is why I think it should be more for contending teams, because that 20 million doesn't do much for, not that they would, but like the Jets or the Browns or any of these other teams. Donnie saying, thanks, Steve. Joined the Fanspeak fam this year. Appreciate that. You and Meg are awesome. Your whole channel. Been watching Meg with Sia for a few years now. Nice. Yeah, Meg does her shows during football season with Sia and Mike McClure, and then some other shows on CBS. Does a great job there. Donnie, I don't know if you saw or heard, Meg is going to be on with Pete Overset on, After Dark tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, you were not in this one, but no, I appreciate you joining, appreciate chatting. We got Greg checking in, GM Mr. Steve, appreciate that. More people are starting to chatter about Mike Washington Jr. Can he get up to the second round with a good 40? I'm not seeing second round for him. I think that's rich. I could see third round. I could see like end of third round, with a good 40, looking good in drills. He's a bit of an older prospect. I definitely think he's better than Seth McGowan. Ironically, they were both teammates, not this past year, the year before at New Mexico State. I think he outplayed him there, and then they both go to the SEC, and I think he outplays him in the SEC. So I know some people are more in Seth McGowan camp, who also is, he's older and has more baggage, way more baggage. So definitely give me Mike Washington Jr. over that. I think he can push to be running back 5, at worst running back 6 or 7 in this class. And that could get him day 3 capital. Nice, good. All right, I don't know how many people are in baseball. I know a couple of people. Not sure if FK Coolers is around. I know he's a baseball guy. I know Mike, but I did want to start mixing in some baseball. I'll do some like straight up full baseball shows, but in part because they have this bunt 4 going on. It's a $3 entry. It's about filled. So I have 4 left. I don't know if I'll be able to get all 4 done today, but I wanted to get one in. So I'm going to count this down. If you want to do baseball, join me in the bunt 4. It's just a $3 entry. If you're not into baseball, we can still talk football during this draft. I'll mix it up, do both. And then I will draft another football team after this. So I'm going to count this down and feel free to, if you have any questions about baseball, best ball, baseball in general, shoot them in chat. We will talk it up. So let me count this down and just let you know, it's a 3 of 12, 3 of 10, 2 of 9. So it's very good advance rates in the playoffs. These are very fun tournaments they're producing. Like you see, this is the 4th one they've done of the bunts. I haven't even done many. Sometimes they fill very fast. So let me jump in, count it down, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So waiting on 5. So we can talk for a little bit while we wait. Feel free to shout out anything you're seeing on Twitter or any other questions. I love talking ball. I have an opinion on just about everything, so I'll give you my insight on it, and happy to talk about any team, player, whatever. Kick saying I would draft baseball with you, but can't right now. Appreciate that, Kicks. Like I said, I'll definitely be doing some more streams soon where I do baseball, and probably some just like solo baseball. I wanted to mix it in today, particularly since the big board's been filling kind of slow. Still waiting on 5. Hoping I can get this build fairly quickly. Let me check Twitter to see if I've missed anything, any big updates. So far, not seen much, but if you've seen something, definitely shout it out. Uhaim saying baseball is hard to fill. Yeah, it definitely can be. I'm doing most of my baseball slow because of that. Let me just put it in Discord real quick. And hopefully we can get it done. Got 1. On 4 more. Oh, found FK. I'm in as well. Well, Mike and FK will be in with me. Hopefully we can get a couple more people in. Yeah, so we can still talk football, so definitely don't want to knock that. Just saw this earlier. We talked about tight ends. Michael Trigg came in at 6'3", a little over 6'3", 240 pounds, but he had a ridiculous wingspan of 84 inches, 34-inch arms with 10-inch hands. So definitely checks those boxes. Slightly undersized at the 6'3", 240. That's the Fannin range. Fannin didn't run well, but Fannin is just such a great receiving tight end. It should not matter. I'm trying to Trigg is a guy I have a tough time with, just because I think some teams will be very intrigued by him, but others are going to be less so. So looking at the tight end numbers now, Eli Stowers came in 6'3", also same height as Trigg, 6'3" and change, 239, so same height and weight. I actually thought Stowers would be a little taller, so a little surprised there. Arms check the box, hand just under 10 inches, wingspan just under 80 inches. Max Clare 6'4", 246, hands, arm, wingspan all slightly less, but I like him at that weight. Sadiq, shorter 6'3", but still 6'3", 241, 10-inch hands, but a little shorter arm and wingspan. Sam Roush, I saw 6'6", 267. He is the more complete inline tight end. Does need work on his hands a little bit, but I think he could push for a third rounder. UCL team saying, I like these bunts. I've maxed 1 through 3 and only have 3 left here. Yeah, I was just so busy. I didn't jump in the first couple bunts. I did a couple in third, and then those just filled quicker, it seemed like. I do think this fourth one filling pretty well. But yeah, no, it's a great format, particularly if you're not as fully in on baseball, and especially right now, because for those who don't know, it's in the midst of spring training. Also, the World Baseball Classic. We're going to have some injuries, unfortunately. Baseball is really tough in the injury department. There's always a couple pitchers that go down. In particular, I mean, this year, first week of camp, we saw 4 hitters have hamate injuries. Plus, the Anthony Statander surgery. So hitters took a big hit early. But baseball is fun. And usually the tournaments have better advance rates, which are nice. Going back to football, Sam Roush, he's a guy who intrigues me. Not necessarily a massive fantasy outlook right away, but could be a fun touchdown guy. And in terms of real life football, I think he's a big add to your team because he can be a good strong blocker as well. Still waiting on 4. Going to try and get this filled. But yeah, this is tougher. Try and tweet it out as well. I do think probably filling dingers would be a little easier, but I wanted to finish this up since A, it's a great intro contest, and B, I think it's I was going to fill in the next day, and I wanted to get some more entries in. If you have to bail on this, it's cool. You did the request. The world didn't allow it. Waiting on 1. We're almost here, Mike. Let's get 1 more. Hopefully we can get this done. 1 more person. Let's go. Let's get this thing going. I love this quote, and we're filled, by the way. Mike is in the 1 spot. I'm in the 2 spot. A shout out if anyone else is in here. Missy is in the 11 spot. Let me know if anyone else is here. But I love this quote from Carnell Tate. His message to team, this is a Washington beat writer writing this. He said his message to teams is simple. If you want a game changer, you get one right. You got one right here. And to agree, I like that confidence. I think he's going to be an excellent NFL player. So for baseball, 1 and 2, it's kind of simple. Ohtani, Judge, Soto's kind of close, and Acuna, bouncing back from the injury, I think is fun. But 1, 2, I think you're taking one of these two pretty much every time. Outfield is generally at a premium. Pitching is a little devalued. 1, due to the injuries, and B, they just don't score near as many points. So Mike goes Ohtani. We're going to take Judge. Pretty simple equation there. And that's right, Mike is a Dodgers fan, so he gets the top Dodger. We'll talk baseball as we do this, but again, I don't mind talking football as I multitask this draft. I'm still trying to check notes on Twitter. And like I said, if anyone has anything they want to talk about, feel free. So as expected, Soto goes 3. Bobby Witt Jr. is a great player, but sometimes it's tough, even when he's your top guy on the board. Like, you just take Al Tucker or another outfielder, just because outfield can thin out pretty well. Like, Corbin Carroll's coming off, is dealing with an injury, so he's sliding a little bit. Who are you liking as your late round pitchers? I'm big on Nola, and my bias makes me and Dustin May for the Cards. Yeah, I like Nola. Miss Yalzine says the 30-second clocks seem to take so long, and this is true. They are not doing the 20-second clocks like football, so these picks take a little longer. But to the late round pitchers, it is tough. So you mentioned Nola. I would shout out slightly earlier. I love 150 on Jack Flattery. I like targeting guys who are getting more than a strikeout an inning in the last 2 years. 161 innings, 188 strikeouts, 162 innings, 194 strikeouts. I think the Tigers could win a few more games. You get points for winning, points for quality starts, points for just eating innings. So he's not great at eating innings, but the strikeouts are big. And I do think if they're in a position to win some more games, maybe we can push the innings slightly. So I like him a lot. Nathan Eovaldi, it's okay. I mean, he hasn't cracked 1,000 points, but kind of in the mix. Kind of the opposite. If he can get back to this like 170 plus innings. But I do like Texas to get some wins. I think the Baltimore duo, you shouted out Nola. I like Nola, but the Baltimore duo of Trevor Rogers and Shane Baz, I think are fine. Neither has a huge track record, but either could be they could be like the 1, 2, or 3 on Baltimore this year. Baz a little better of a track record. So those are some of my favorites. Then there's some real later guys after that. I will say I've taken a Garrett Cole shot, hoping he's back. You just keep returning some value. I like Jack later. Young guy, seemed to be growing. I expect him to get more innings, more work this year. Mitch Keller is another one. Pirates actually could be a decent team this year, and he's no longer an ace. He's going to be like their third guy. He's just going to eat innings for him. So I love when I can get James Wood back. Not just because he's a Washington National, but I think he's just a young, ascending outfielder. If I don't get him back, I'm not the biggest Roman Anthony fan at this ADP. So I'm going to pull up Pete Crow Armstrong. I like him a little better. He had a real breakout year, 30-30 guy. The report said he's, improving his swing, improve his contact. That could just make him all around better. You do want to stack some. There are some stacks you can get to. I think I'm going to pull up another guy here. I like Jarren Duran. He's one of my favorite picks in this range. Just 2 straight years, 1,400 points, 1,600 points. Just a lot of upside. I know he's not great against lefties, so he'll sit sometimes more than you'd like. But I think there's plenty of value coming back for a guy like Jarren Duran. Musgrave too, if he doesn't have an injury setback. Yeah, there's a lot of those pitchers who used to be good and just dealing with injuries late. And it does get thin though, I'll say. I probably don't want to have too many. I really like getting pitchers in the starting in this range, like 70, like Dylan Cease, Freddie Peralta, Chris Sale. Not big on Hunter Green, though he gets a lot of strikeouts. Max Fried's okay. Luzardo's okay. Like Bamber Valdez, DeGrom had a nice year last year. Strider, I think another year back from injury. Because he didn't start the full year, but he still pitched pretty well. And I'm expecting, he'll keep going. So I like targeting some pitchers in that 70 through 100 range, get a couple there to kind of like lead my rotation. But it can be tough with the pitching market for sure. So I don't always go 3 outfielders in a row. Just wanted to do it for this team. Sometimes I go 4 or 5 in a row. I've definitely done that, depending on what comes out to me in some subsequent rounds. I will start looking for stacks. I generally am fine just having 2 or max 3. Not looking for like full team stacks. Yeah, there are a couple teams that might be worth it, but usually they're the teams that are like impossible to do, like the Dodgers. You can't get Ohtani and Tucker. Like, it's just not ever going to happen. And, just a few others like that. So, usually I'm kind of maxing at 3, getting a couple stacks, and I'm just happy with that. My bigger priority is targeting the outfield early, because outfield thins out quite a bit. Essentially after you get, honestly, like, Andy Page is, how much of an opportunity? I know he had 1,200 points last year, but that was before they brought in Tucker. It's outfield really thins out. Infield, if there's a position to really punt on, it can be infield. Because I like a 7-7-6 build. It's 20-round draft. Like right now, with the way this is turning out, probably looking at another. Now regret not getting. I could have done Wyatt Langford, and so I could have had the Langford Nemo stack there. That's pretty fun. I do like George Springer on, so I'm going to start 5 outfielders. Trey Tucker is pretty good. Kind of had one of his worst years last year, but I expect a bounce back. I'm going to take George Springer here. I don't always recommend going 5 outfielders in a row, because we know like 3 are starting, 1 can hit the flex. So one of these guys every week is not going to be hitting my lineup. But now I kind of can't wait for my 6th outfielder to be late. this is like the 5 wide receivers in a row sort of build. And then you stop early. I mean, I technically could probably stop at 5 outfielders. It's tough because baseball is just such a long season. But this outfield is very, very strong. It's probably this team. I'll still hunt for some stacks, but it might not be as stack heavy as I usually do. But we'll have to see. So Mike goes 0-2-3. OSU Missy goes 2-2 coming up on this pick. I actually think, as much as I love Ohtani and Judge and even Soto, I actually like being on the back half of the board. I just feel like my teams end up being better. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I generally like this like 10, 11, 12 range. So at this point, probably not looking outfield for quite some time. So I'll focus more on pitching and grabbing some infielders. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely taken a decent share of Anthony. Most of my drafts are slow, so I only have a couple completed drafts, but like I'm in like 50 some slow right now, and most of them are well beyond into the late rounds. So I will probably have a decent share of Anthony. I just kind of prefer Jarren Duran. I just think there's more total upside to his game. I do worry about the reports that he might sit him against more lefties. I just think he's such a good ball player, and he has a high ceiling as well. I mean, Red Sox are just a team with a ton of talent. Ben Rice is interesting here. I think I'm going to go there, get a little bit of a stack. I feel like that's a little high price for Rice, but the stack, pushes me towards him. Bregman is another potential stack to start. But also, Suarez coming off this monster 49 home run year. Where do I go? Chris Sale. I think I'd go Suarez, since he's a pretty easy park to hit out of. And we know, the 49 home runs probably aren't happening again, but this is a high 12 to 1300 bat. So I just feel there's a lot of consistency there. Pays off that price, I think, pretty easily. As much as I like Bregman, getting a little older, just been less consistent the last 2 years. That's kind of my read on it. Sale was definitely in the mix for me, but I'm fine waiting another grouping. I will say, being on either of the turns, I do feel a little bit better to wait on pitching, because then I know this next round I'll probably target 2 pitchers. Agreed on being at the back of the board. Yeah, it just feels like those teams end up better. Do you look at prospect rankings, or potential rookies too risky for this? So what I will say is, every year there's going to be a couple of rookies that you absolutely want, but plenty of others who fail. I think for instance, I know Keith Law, the Athletics rookie guy, he just did a 20 prospects who are most likely to impact as rookies. And so it's not necessarily a straight prospect list, but it's 20 guys who he thinks will have the biggest impact. And for instance, Connor Griffin, who's everyone's number one overall prospect, is 5th on the list because he's 19. Even if he does get the opening day start or comes up early, he's 19. He could have some struggles. At the same time, Connor Griffin is a phenom of a prospect. So I do have a share of some share Connor Griffin. There are others. I like to mix them in. The tougher thing is pitchers, because even really good young pitchers get shut down. There's just no, particularly if they're on bad teams. They're more likely to manage innings. So I'm more apt to take position player prospects than pitching prospects, generally speaking. That being said, some of these second year, like McLean or Savage, the Blue Jays guy, some of these other young pitchers, I'll take some shots. I think their ADPs are relatively fair. I think I'm going to start Strider. I do like CJ Abrams, and had I had James Wood, that would have been the pick, but I'll start Spencer Strider. I mean, we're just talking the upside of one of the best pitchers in the game if he can fully be back to form. Michael Busch would be another stack. Do I pass on it again? There's just later ways you can get Cub stacks. So I'm not going to overly push that. And I kind of like this range of pitchers. Joe Ryan, luckily, he dealt with an injury the other day, and I held my breath because I had a decent share of Joe Ryan. But it seems like it's just hopefully nothing serious. I like Sonny Gray. And like I said, I like Boston. I like that consistency. DeGrom or Gray? I will go Sonny Gray. I just think Boston's going to win a ton of games this year, and Gray should be in line for a good chunk of those. Has shown to be a better strikeout guy than I think people give him credit for. And so now we're sitting at 225. I almost always add a 6th outfielder, but that will be later. We got Al Boogie checking in. Doing well, Al. I already did one football draft. Pivoting to do a quick baseball draft here. Quick is a relative term. Took a little while to fill. Obviously 30-second clocks, but we'll go back to football after this. And doing well. Like this, Mackenzie Gore is another one. He's pitched well on the Nats the last couple years, and like this 160 innings and 180 strikeouts. So averaging over strikeout inning now goes to the Rangers. To get a lot more wins. He's only gotten 15 wins despite all these quality starts, particularly last year. 5 wins for 14 quality starts is insane. It's terrible. So love. Another reason why I like the back half is you're just so in line for some of these guys. I think Kevin Gossman bounce back here, pretty solid. Can be the innings eater. 193 innings last year. Should get a lot of wins, really good offense, really good team still. So Kyle Bradish, I'm in between on, scuffled with injuries. I think Baltimore is going to have a bounce back year. But I don't love the Kyle Bradish price right here. I kind of like Kevin McDougal, McGonigal from Detroit, although I don't know about his paths at bats look like. Yeah, I think he's actually a pretty interesting one. What is his ADP? So 237. Yeah, you can get him super late. I don't know if he starts with the team, but I think he's just going to work his way in. Detroit is building. They're trying to have a resurgence as well. Is a super late round guy. I've taken him a couple times. I don't mind it. I'm trying to think of a couple other rookies off the top of my head. You have some of these international rookies who I definitely take. Who else am I not thinking of? What I really like is targeting second year guys who kind of started a breakout last year, and ideally they continue it. Like a Dylan Cruz is a young guy. He scuffled some, but 10 home runs, 17 stolen bases. Pretty young. He's like 22, and he should have a long leash in Washington. So pitching kind of got overtaken. I mean, there's still some guys in this range I don't mind. Luis Castillo has been the same guy the last couple of years, still relatively solid. The third pitcher isn't bad. Galvin Williams, not my favorite. Trey Yesavage. I think I'd go. Don't love Torkelson. I think I take Dansby Swanson here. Like I said, can easily get Cub stacks later. I'm going to do it. He's not going to come back to me. I'm going to take Connor Griffin. This guy is just a freak. He's a phenom. I mean, the comps that he gets are insane. Pirates can use a shortstop. Could they, play Nick Gonzalez for a month and wait for him? Sure. But why would you? I mean, you one of the best young pitchers in the game. You got a bunch of other good young guys. You added some free agents and trade for some guys. Bring in your phenom. Let's see if he can play. Let's go. So, yeah, I'm part of the reason his ADP is going up. I think me and Nez are probably big reasons for that. Post-type breakout happens a lot in MLB. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, you have plenty of guys. Like, I mean, he's injured right now, but like a Jackson Holiday, 2 years ago, he was the phenom guy, right? And his first cup of coffee in the majors, the Orioles had to send him down. Last year, he played a lot better. And then this year, he's dealing with this hamate injury. I still take him because it sounds pretty good. And also speed is a big part of his game. Pretty good contact. So his power numbers might be down a little bit. That worries me. But he's falling, so I don't mind him now. This range of infielders, like Nick Horner, Marcus Semien, Connor Griffin, who I took, Swanson, who I took. I mean, it's just a really strong range in these mid-range of infielders. So I like to just load up in this and late in for the infield. Goodman's another fun infielder in this range. Bubba Chandler, another young pitcher. He's one I am more willing to take. Outfield kind of fell a little bit. You don't typically see like Doyle and Cowser go this late. I think Azuna's nice click where he's going. Probably need to focus pitching here. Tanner Bibby doesn't really move the needle. Eats a lot of innings. Should get a lot of quality starts. But he's kind of capped in what he can do. For this build, it's fine. Ranger Suarez is another one. I already have one Boston piece. But should get a lot of quality starts. Castillo's who I was hoping for. I'm going to take Ranger Suarez. Mike takes Nola. I'll take Jackson Holiday. Again, maybe I'm a sucker for it, but I do have Taylor Ward. A little bit of a stack. I think this Baltimore offense, after a couple of years of being maybe a little overpriced, now kind of underpriced overall. 3.55. I might just throw volume at pitching. Don't really love going like 8 pitchers. I could do it. I might truly stick with the 5 outfielders just because I went 5 in a row and, I'm anchored with an Aaron Judge. Chick's asking, how do you draft the MLB Eliminator? Yeah, so the MLB Eliminator, I've only do the low elim $5 version. I did a good chunk in the first one, done a few in the second one. Not going to max either, or obviously didn't max the first, not going to max the second. But I think it's fun. It's very similar to what the football eliminator used to be, where it's like every week it's between like you're in big, it's not head to head, so it's bigger pods, and most weeks are over 50%, more in the 60 to 80% range. Some weeks are 50%. It's 2-week samples, so it's not 1 week, it's 2 weeks. So generally over a 2-week period, generally speaking, every starter should have an opportunity for a 2-start week. But I prioritize pitching even less. I really want a strong core. So usually like my top 7 rounds are position guys, and then I'm pivoting to the pitching. But then I want a lot of guys who can just eat innings and are going to be out there, because I'm not looking to maximize my pitching score, because I don't care if I'm in a pod with, a couple teams that have, Scooble or Schemes or somebody like that, because even if they have a great week, I can still be in the top 50% of the pod is the way I look at it. Sure, if I make it to the finals, which I did make a Little Olymp finals team last year, only like 20 entries, 25 entries. Maybe I'm a little behind, but I just feel you run a risk. Like the weeks where, Scuba is like 2 good starts 1 week and 1 good start the next week, or at least 2 starts, above average starts, and one good start the next week. Yeah, he might be a dominant pitcher for that week's 2-week Elim session of pod. But in the weeks where he, doesn't have his best stuff, or it's not that he gets hit around because he's so good. All right, wait, hold on. Let me make this pick. Like I said, I like Shane Baz here. Don't know if I trust Cabrera. Speaking of eating some innings, I think this is where I'm going to go. So yeah, for the Elim, I prioritize pitching a little less. Still want guys I can rely on, guys to eat innings. But I definitely want some extreme, and I will say I'm a bit more willing to, like in the first couple of rounds, take a position guy like a Bobby Witt in the first round, or like a, like just look at the board. There are different ADPs for sure, but like a Gunnar Henderson or Pete Alonso who can have like 1,600 points. I think those points are just going to matter so much. Like a Pete Alonso versus a Crow Armstrong, give me Alonso kind of like every time. In the Elim format. In this, I think it's more even. So I do prioritize like the elite bats a little bit more, and I'll catch up at outfield if I need to, like with some of these like middle tier outfield. Like the Altuve's, Michael Harris Jr. Not a big Luis Robert fan though. We'll see with the change of scenery. So yeah, that's kind of the way I draft a Little Elim or MLB Elim. All right, we are getting near the end here. We are into the 16th round. Those of you Missy just made 16th round pick. Now seen at 646. I'm at 555 and Mike is at 465. I mean, I think that's smart. Because MLB is already onto their second limb, which is $50, and little limb $5. So the first one you had to draft it. I mean, this other one, it's filling, but yeah. And I also probably, even when I do more baseball drafts, unless there's a big call for me to do a little limb, I like them slow just because, it takes some time. I can start get a read on some injuries and stuff like that. Shane Smith. I don't love the White Sox, but this kind of price is good. Like I said, I like Mitch Keller. Really starts to thin out. Pablo Lopez. Oh, that injury was a killer. I'll take a Shane Smith shot here. I think he's a solid pitcher. Is just on a bad team. I know they're trying to make some strides this year. We'll see if they do. Not really a fan of some of these other guys. I don't think he's good to go. Rasmussen. Give me. Do I wait? Hold on. Do I take a picture? No. I'll take Brady Singer. I need bodies and innings, and I might go 8 pitchers. Brandon Lowe, I like the price. Should go to the Pirates. Should play every day there. Their offense could be sneaky solid this year, but there's so many infielders you can get late who can get over 1,000 points. Guy like Audie Rushman, this is a guy we were taking way earlier the last couple of years, and yes, he's coming off a really down year, but he honestly might get more, first base time, not first base, DH time this year. So there's just so many late position guys to get. I love Royce Lewis. This guy just cannot stay healthy. And at least the MRI came back negative, but he's a fun player. But yeah, like this is where a team I definitely would draft Kevin McGonigal on. Might need to wait a little bit for some results, but there's a path to upside there. I'll see if I add an extra, outfielder, some later guys. I mean, just a lot of guys here. We're not expecting a lot of run rate. Most of them are in platoon situations. Chandler Simpson is a little intriguing to me. No power though. Super fast with no power. That's always tough. I mean, stolen bases matter a lot, but the lack of power is what keeps him from being a better guy. I mean, Harrison Bader is okay. If I needed a 6 at this point, I would take it. I don't think I'll do it. Same with Jason Dominguez. Just kind of buried on that team. So I think this will be one of my rare 5 outfield teams. Now Kelly goes. Matthew Boyd. This is something you need to check any injury reports on these guys, because these things can go quickly, where it goes from sounding like a nothing to he's out for the year. What's the latest one? Yeah, don't think he's coming back. I'll take Matthew Boyd as my eighth pitcher. Can get some wins, eat innings, just helps give me a floor. That'll be in my pitching room. I usually just stop at 7, but was okay adding to it this time. One guy I like here, August Ramirez. I don't know. I think there's a lot of promise to his game. So this is what I mean. Like, there's just so many guys here who can get over 1,000, 1,200 points, just to help give you floors. Jimmy McGonigal is still there. Timo Basalo is the young phenom who catching prospect who could be pushing Rushman off the job. I haven't really taken him. Yeah, I think I've taken him maybe one time. I just don't know if they're gonna push him this year. Xavier Edwards is another. I like targeting some bad teams who give these guys like another guy like no power, ton of fun speed. But I take him, as a 20th round click. Oh, thank you. No, always happy to talk it up. We will get back to a football draft. So appreciate those sticking with me on doing this. Like I said, most times I do this, probably will just switch it up and like have 2 separate shows just to make it a bit more clear. Baseball, I think, is a lot of fun to do. It's more of a grind. The pitching injuries can be super frustrating at times, but when you're right, it is fun. I think Burleson is always a guy, kind of just like a solid floor play. Should get plenty of opportunity with the Cards with the, they trade away some other guys, and maybe he's a mid-year trade guy, but, had a nice slash line, 18 home runs. I think he's a fine click here. And yeah, he could get traded mid-season, which actually could be worse for him if he doesn't go to a situation where he's playing every day. But he's a guy I like taking late. I think let me see. I'll click him. Mason Wynn is another Cardinal. Should have plenty of opportunity. Kind of like a mid-tier guy. JB Crawford, Ryan O'Hearn. Pirates gave him some decent money. I expect him to be an everyday guy for them. Probably over 20 home runs would be my guess. That's at least their plan. Luis Garcia is another guy, again, on a bad team. Has like 20-20 ability, 25-25 would probably be the high outlook for him. Hasn't fully been this great guy for the Nats and coming off some injuries, but 25-year-old, should be the primary second base. He can play a little first. Could fill in a DH every now and then. I don't mind taking this late, because he should have just plenty of opportunity to play every day. And that's what we're looking for, because some of these other guys just don't, right? Like Matt Shaw, young guy, but I think he is just maybe not going to get the full number of bats I'm looking for. Yeah, the super utility role. Not terrible this late, but just not my favorite click. Pretty House is even going, not sure. I'm expecting big things from him for the Nats. Long term, interesting, but I worry about this year. Now, if they, do commit to him, I think it's worth like that he'll be fully up with the team to start. Then yeah, he's a guy maybe right before the start of the season I'd take a little bit more. But these are probably the three guys that I'm most considering right now. I'm going to do Burleson. I just, consistency is king there. Just to round out my team. So I went 8-7-5. Outfield's easy. Went 5 in a row. Love this outfield. Felt like I could just stick with 5. Rarely do that, but this is the team to do it. Infield, I am just trying to really went with some young upside guys. A couple of veterans like Suarez and Swanson and Burleson. That's also why I targeted a guy like Burleson. Maybe should have gone 8 infielders just with this team. I'm generally expecting the flex to come from this outfield, obviously. So just need the infield to these 7 guys to hit 3 spots. And then pitching went 8. No like aces, the clear high end guys, but Strider, Gray, Suarez. I like targeting guys from good offense and good teams mainly, and then filled in. I view Kiuchi as like an innings eater. Dean Smith, a young guy, Brady Singer, up and comer, decent stuff. Matthew Boyd, he's like another innings eater. Again, just trying to cobble together the best pitching staff possible without spending super high capital on. Mike saying, "You're the man. I will yell at FK for missing." Yeah, we'll plan it out more. And like I said, I'll probably do a couple of baseball streams, next week. Mason is a great late round pick. Hunter's one of my highest owned players. First share of Colt Emerson here for something different. Yeah, let me look at the other teams, and then we'll get back to football in 1 second. I'll do Mike's first since he had the first overall pick. He goes 7-7-6. Max Fried, Joe Ryan, Cindy Akutera, Aaron Nola, Mitch Keller. I like that kind of balance. Like Nola, if he's healthy, a lot of upside here. Keller kind of like can be an innings eater. Joe Musgrave, and he mentioned Dustin May. I really haven't taken Dustin May, but yeah, you could have more opportunity here in St. Louis. I just don't think I try not to be taking pitchers that late. During this weekend, I have done some Joe Musgrave because if he's healthy, I like him. Infield of Nick Kurtz, Manny Machado, CJ Abrams, Jay Langiers, Ozzy Alves. I love the price we're getting on Ozzy this year. I do expect a bit of a bounce back. Will Smith and Aldi Rushman, another this is a guy we were taking over 100 picks earlier last year. Outfield of Atani, he got the Langford Nemo stack. I love that stack. It's very easy to get, relatively speaking. It feels like a lot of fun. I think Nemo goes to Texas, can do really well there by Langford. Feels like the sky's the limit for him. Kyle Stowers, traded to Miami, should have plenty of opportunity, kind of what I was talking about, same with like a Jordan Beck. Then took the Nick Castellanos shot. I know he had, some Padre with Manny Machado. So yeah, he should get more of an opportunity there. And then OSU Missy here, Missy Altine, Luzardo, Gore, definitely one of my favorites. Chase Burns, Cam Slater, took Jack Flattery, who's that's one of my favorites. Reed Detmer. So nice pitching room, first couple, kind of your anchors. But yeah, everyone is somebody I can definitely consider taking. Infield of Junior Kim Niero, Bryce Harper, Jacob Wilson. Love Jacob Wilson value. Young guy, bloodlines, like really big fan. I'm not really taking Luke Keisho yet. That's one maybe I need to get more in on, but I see you're doing a Minnesota stack here. Brandon Lowe, I think, is great. Colt Emerson, like you said, taking the shot there. Fernando Tatis, Brent Rooker, Paul Brooker, O'Neill Cruz. I think Cruz, Reynolds, price there, and I like the fact you're stacked them. Adonis Garcia, I think that's a great outfield pick. I think they're talking he could be hitting cleanup, fourth or fifth in that lineup. That's really nice. And then Matt Warner, nice. You went 5 early, a late shot just to have a extra body 9 as part of your Minnesota stack. So nice, very nice team. All right, let's get back to football. Apologize for those who, yes, I'm not as great at reading baseball names for sure. But let's get back. I apologize for those who maybe that was a bit of a bore or they're just not into it. We'll get back into the football streets. Let's do another big board. I'm going to count it down. Enter in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, enter. So Wayne on 9. Hopefully we can fill this quick. And let me get back to chat and looking on Twitter, see if there's any new information out there about football I missed while I was doing that draft. And trying to catch up here. I don't see anything major. We're filling up. We still have 4 to go. Jump on in. Let's fill this up. Looking at some combine stuff. This is a guy I'm a big fan of, D'Angelo Pons, measured in short, 5'8.5". He had a 43.5 vertical jump. He is fun to watch. Big part of Indiana's defense, national championship defense. We'll pretty much have to kick inside at corner at the next level. But yeah, he's a fun corner. Glad to see. Hopefully he's got a good 40 time also. Glad to see he had a really good jump there. We got Mr. Mufasa checking in. What's going on, Steve? Doing good. Just took a little detour. Did a football draft already. Took a detour to the baseball streets. Going back to football now. Kicks good. I'm glad you liked doing MLB, NFL. I think I might separate it going forward, but doing like 2 different streams. So just to mix it up, just so it's more easier to like put in front of people. So, all right, I got the 3rd pick here. Mr. Mufasa is in at 2. King QC is in at 5. Osu Missy is in at 6. Losimo in at 8. And that's all I see in here. If anyone else is in here, give it a shout. So I'm sure later tonight we'll get, the tight ends running and all those things. I mean, those will be interesting. Tomorrow, though, will, of course, be the big day. I will be going live at some point tomorrow. I haven't decided when. Probably, I'm thinking before things get kicked off, but keep an eye out on Twitter, on YouTube, in our Discord when I'll be going live. All right, I'll take another Puka share. I said this the other day. While I prefer Chase over Puka in a vacuum, I don't want to have a massive difference in share. I've got currently 12 or 15% Chase because he's my top guy 3 through 5. And so anytime I get him there, I've just been taking him, and I got 3% Puka. So I saw Chad Candles kind of broke through his top 6 guys, top 5 or 6 guys the other day in stream. So I looked at mine, and I just saw that massive difference between 2, and I want to even it out some. I mean, I have no problem being ahead of on Chase. I just don't want only 3% of Puka, especially now with Stafford back. Mr. Mufasa asking thoughts on Malachi Fields appearing at the back of first in recent mocks. I mean, look, we'll see what he runs tomorrow. I definitely get the buzz. I think he's intriguing a lot. I think, like, personally, give me guys like Fields over Chris Brazell. Give me a guy like Fields over, Zachariah Branch. I'd make the same argument for Surratt, though. Surratt doesn't have the vertical speed that Fields is going to have or should have tomorrow. I think it's just, it's hard to fill that true X role. Even Surratt, a team could see him more as like a inside-outside player, kind of like a big slot, kind of like what I've called him, like Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen type, Puka Nacua, because he doesn't have that vertical ability. But Fields has that, so I think that could push him up, just because a lot of teams, at the end of the first, early second, who could also trade into the early first just to get that fifth year, and just because they want to get their guy, could prioritize that. So I think it's unlikely he's a first rounder at the end of the day, but I understand it from just a raw physical standpoint. There's a lot to like. And I think, like I said, I think he's better than like the Zachariah Branches. Now all of a sudden everyone is in the draft. Well, appreciate that. Appreciate that, Mike. No, I definitely want to do some more baseball. So up into, I get a Jeremiah Love fall. That is a rarity and probably will not be happening after tomorrow. I don't know if he runs a sub 4.4. It's possible. I think it's like a sub 4.45. Like I think he's low 4.4s or maybe high 4.3s. And either way, I also, if he's doing his jumps are going to look ridiculous. Anyone who's watched Jeremiah Love knows that he hurdles guys seemingly at least once a game. So I expect his jumps to be very, very good and look just great if he's doing all the drill work as well. So Puka in the first, come back, get Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs. So that feels good. And I'm happy to get some more shares of Jeremiah Love. It's just so tough. My argument is it's just tough to take him ahead of guys like Saquon and Henry, even to an extent Chase Brown. Like Chase Brown, like we kind of know what he is now, and we know what he is. The more important thing is we know what he is when he's Joe Burrow and to a lesser extent Joe Flacco. Like if you eliminate the Jake Browning sample, Chase Brown's numbers look insane last year. Like easily can pay off that second round price tag. Back to the board into the fourth round, and I just want to bring up Chase Brown, give a better perspective. Point PPR, and this was Chase Brown last year in half point PPR. Week 1, 12 points, so usable weekly finish 21. Weeks 2 through 6 doesn't crack 10 points a single time. Those are the weeks before Flacco. So he's a wide receiver, or does finish top 20 one time in that range. But then Flacco comes back, 11 points, 17th finish, 24 points, 5th finish, 15 points. Let's make a pick and stop being an idiot. We'll take Scadaboo. We don't trust Jordan Renan. Lauren goes, that's a good pick, Mr. Mufasa. Let's make my other pick and then I'll get back to it. Just why I'm so bullish on Chase Brown. Jaden Daniels with McLaren. I get that. Let's take another Carnell Tate share. I like taking some Tate at this cost. So week 9 against Chicago, 15.2 points, weekly finish of 8. Bye week, back week 11, 15.7, finish of 15, 14 points the next week, finish of 13. That was against New England also. 14.8 points, week 15 finish. That was Joe Burrow's first game back. 17 points, finished 8th. 12.5, finished 19th. Then the last 3 weeks of the year, 30.9, finished 2nd. 27.6, finished 3rd. And then week 18, which obviously is a bit more, because not every back's playing, but 17 points, finished with 10th. So, just a guy with the ability to hit your lineup every week. I mean, he should have hit your lineup every week, essentially, as a RB2 or flex at worst. With Flacco or Burrow. And I just think there's so much upside there, and then multiple top 10 games as well. So not just hitting your lineup, but really making a difference. So that's, to me, when I'm being asked to draft Jeremiah Love ahead of that, it's not going to be easy for Love to match that. As much as I love him as a prospect, it's just that role for Chase Brown is really, really strong. Drake May going 61. That feels good. So through 5 rounds, Mr. Mufasa's 122. I'm 032. King QC 122. OSU Missy 023. Blosimo 0041. From the people from the chat. I do need to catch up at receiver. I like my core at running back of Love, Jacobs, Scadaboo, particularly if the Jordan Renan report is kind of bogus. I get my guy Courtland Sutton back. Definitely don't always get him back to here, so that is really nice. I think that's good value. I'm ahead of ADP on him, so to get him after ADP is a really strong. And I also like him. He gives a very strong stacking option. Onyx. Don't love Harold Vanden at this price. I'd love to see him fall more of a round. We'll see if that starts to occur. So Mr. Mufasa is taking all my good players, Ricky P and Stevenson. But now I will take Alec Pierce. That's my fourth receiver, catching up there a little bit. So now 0, 3, 4, 0. I feel like I have a strong core at both running back and receiver and can move on from there pretty well. So, yeah, surprised no more news is coming out of the combine. I mean, we get these, not just the Giants prioritizing a running back rumor, but the other one I found interesting yesterday was the Vikings have an interest. There's a mutual interest between Anthony Richardson and the Vikings. So, of course, Anthony Richardson's interested in the Vikings. I know there was that clip, of Kevin O'Connell 2 years ago. And I'm sure Kevin O'Connell, does believe that, wants him to succeed, believes in him. I do not think that the Vikings are going to look to replace a first-round quarterback who has issues staying on the field and getting the ball to his primary weapons with another former first-round quarterback who has issues staying on the field and getting the ball to his primary weapons. That just does not seem like a Vikings move at all. It doesn't fix your issue. Like, a couple of years ago when Carolina had both Baker and Darnold competing, kind of the same thing, these two former first rounders competing for the job. That should not be the Vikings' direction, right? Like, this is a team that won 14 games 2 years ago. They cannot afford Justin Jefferson to get pissed off. So, bringing in another highly inaccurate quarterback who makes bad decisions and doesn't get the ball to his guys doesn't seem to be the ideal option. And especially McCarthy is going to be under contract for longer. So you could bring in a 1-year veteran of a Kirk Cousins or Geno or whoever and not be totally closing the book on JJ McCarthy. Let us take, I like Michael Pittman here. Worthy also, but I'll take Pittman. And ideally, I'm getting one of these quarterbacks back. Arm cover is saying, I think it's Geno. Yeah, I mean, I could see Geno. I do think the Cousins stuff is going to be pretty real, obviously. A couple years with, Kevin O'Connell before. Also, Justin Jefferson and Cousins seem to get along pretty well. I think that could be a driving factor as well. Ooh. Stafford versus Nix. This is a tough one. I lean Nix. So I'm going to go there. Just the rushing upside there gives him a more secure floor than Stafford. So, this could be where I took both Colts if Pierce is back. That would not typically be my favorite thing to do. I definitely will prioritize Daniel Jones because I think at least one of these guys is a Colts receiver. I don't think they're letting Pierce walk and trade away Pittman. And if they're both back, it is fine. I mean, it should be a really good offense. But no, I think Geno could be on the Vikings short list. As is if Derek Carr is coming back. Derek Carr was fairly consistent, 15 to 20 fantasy quarterback. A couple years higher than that, but generally in that range. Fairly accurate. I think there's something there as well. if he's healthy. But I would imagine Cousins and Geno are the true big veteran options. I think they're going to explore the Malik Willis, Kyler Murray markets, see if they can afford it, see what it would cost to trade for Murray. But if those fall through, then I expect Cousins, Geno to be their next two. So sitting at 1350. Probably looking at a receiver here to start. Wandale goes. I was hoping for Wandale. We will take Shakir, though. I think, essentially he was the same guy the last 2 years. I think he'll, regardless of what the Bills do, I think he'll continue to be that same guy. Ideally, he pushes to more like 5-6 touchdowns, more like closer to 900 yards. Feels like a very strong floor play with, he'll spike a couple weeks a year. All right, I take him a lot, but I'll do it again. Probably see his ADP rise next week after the combine. So let's take another shot now. I'll probably, if he does kind of start going in the 90s, I'll cool on him a little bit. So I'm happy to be well overweight now. I will be interested to see. So the tough thing, I think the most interesting thing with the quarterback market, I said before, Cardinals and Vikings and Steelers, though Steelers most likely it's Aaron Rodgers, I think are three best spots. Just assuming Colts stick with Daniel Jones and of course Raiders with Mendoza. But then you have the Falcons. That's the ultimate wild card. Could be very promising with Degen, London, and Pitts. Decent O-line, particularly if they get healthier. But is this a full-time role or is it just a part-time role and Penix is going to come take over? Then you have three probably fairly open roles. Browns, maybe Shador keeps a job. Jets and Dolphins, but they're also the three worst roles out there. Jets, I don't love the coaching situation. Could have decent weapons, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Donnie Mitchell, John Mechie, and Mason Taylor. Pretty solid and a good O-line. I just don't know if anyone's going to want to tie themselves to the Jets. So who goes there could actually be a more intriguing quarterback. Also, they're probably going to be down every week, right? They've traded away a lot of defensive players. Even if they take Everett Reese in the first round, they're probably going to be playing from behind quite a lot. So I don't trust any quarterback to go there is my issue. But it could be like this year's Jacoby Brissett situation where they're just throwing 40 times a game. Ooh, this is tough. The Mendoza versus DJ. I think I got to take DJ with a potential double stack. If I only had one of those, Pierce or Pittman, I think I would take Mendoza there with the fall. But I will take DJ. And it's just tough because where I'm at, I don't think there's any chance Dan Jones would come back. So, but on the other hand, like you have the Dolphins, you have a chain Waddle, who reports he's not happy, but we have no idea their tight end situation. I mean, Malik Washington's a fine receiver, but their O-line's questionable. Their weapons are questionable outside of a chain. Browns are even worse. Their O-line, they're all free agents. They're all gone. They have no money. They'll somehow cobble together an offensive line, right? But it's going to likely be a combo of draft, like rookies and stopgap veterans. So not a lot of continuity there. I don't mind Todd Monken, and I like Vanden. Judkins is fine, though, not a big asset in the passing game. But Jerry Jeudy is just very blah to me. So I expect them to add somebody, but I just also don't know who the Browns are going to bring in at quarterback. So I just think that offense is a mess. So I'm warming myself up to the idea of maybe taking more Garrett Wilson, but I just need to see a quality quarterback go there. Meg checking in. Fanspeak fam fanatics, YouTube members, live stream is set up. Join us tonight for a bigger board draft at 9:30 Eastern. So that should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we can get a bigger board filled and get our high stakes draft out there. And the link is there. So I'm at 3460. Done in quarterback. Just focus on these three positions now. And kind of like this quarterback room. Nix and Dan Jones both coming off injuries, but I think we're gaining a nice little value on Malik Willis. Probably the bell of the ball in the quarterback market out this year, so wouldn't be surprised to see if he's on the cards, which I think is a nice fit for him. That it is. All right, let's see. Coming up in one pick, we will start with Travis Kelce. Hopefully he's back. If so, adds a massive value. By my rank, I'd have Vidal, Elijah Surratt, tight end by ADP. Could go either way. Go likely over Theo Johnson. There's a chance likely could go to Denver. They could use a tight end upgrade. But yeah, it's not so much that. It's just, Theo Johnson, I think is fine for sure. But I just want more likely because when he signs, I expect his ADP to rise. So let me get it now at probably the lower price. I don't think it rises massively, but if he gets a fun location, could easily end up in the 140s. I do expect a lot of tight ends to rise. Obviously, Kelce coming back could help. I think when likely moves on, that could help Andrew's ADP. I think Juwan Johnson's ADP could rise a little bit. So I kind of expect that tight end market to move up a little bit. I also expect, I know Meg doesn't like this, but I expect Kittles to move down for now. Let's look at the board here. Mr. Mufasa is at 2472. I'm at 3462. King QC 2562. Osu Missy at 3561. And Losimo 3552. So Losimo is about to make his 16th round pick. This is an interesting tidbit. The Athletics Chad Graff apparently says league sources. I'll make my pick and then finish the thought. We'll go Hawkinson, finalized tight end. So just looking at these two. But Chad Graff says league sources expect Stephon Diggs to be restructured or cut. I'd be very shocked if they cut him, considering he was their best receiver by considerable margin. That was coming off an ACL injury. I know there's the off-the-field issue, but it doesn't sound as serious to say like the Rashee Rice situation. I'll take Emmanuel Wilson. I love him in this range. I will, take the handcuff here to Josh Jacobs. Not a ton of standalone Emmanuel Wilson value, but anytime Jacobs misses, he showed that he can be a capable RB. So maybe I could see a restructure. I'm personally surprised the Patriots would cut him, just because I think his market, he'd get that kind of money in the open market. And, Diggs is a big reason why the Patriots were in the Super Bowl. I don't think they get there without Diggs being the leading receiver. Kicks asks, do you think Max Crosby returns to the Raiders? I know it's not a positional player, but I've been hearing buzz about the Bears trying to get him. I don't think they have the cap space, though. So, yeah, I've definitely heard some of that buzz as well. I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in Max Crosby if he is available. I think he's available, but the Raiders are saying all the right things, like Kubiak and others, like he's a Raider, and but yeah, he apparently was upset with how the end of last season went. It's also a new coach, and I just think those things can change quite quickly. We heard that at this time last year, Myles Garrett wanted to be traded. He ends up having the sack record, right? So if I'm the Raiders, do I understand the point of resetting? Because it's not just the picks and or players you'd get in return for him, but you also could just, get younger and take one of your biggest cap hits and then spread it around to multiple guys. Not that they need the cap space, but that's just how it would work, right? And so there's some value there, but at the same time, he's by far your best defensive player, like not even close. And so I would keep him, but I do think the Bears could be an interesting spot. Let me make this pick first. I think I would go Caleb Johnson to round out the running back room, just because running back is so thin. So I do that. And as for the Bears needing money, they're talking about trading Tremaine Edmonds, probably trading DJ Moore. In fact, both those guys could be part of the deal. For the Raiders, they'd still have to give up at least a first-round pick, even with those two, probably even first round and some. I doubt it's like the full Micah Parsons, 2 firsts and a player. Probably more like the Quentin Williams, like a second, a first, and a player. Maybe 2 players, depending on where it's at. So, good the Bears probably fit it in, and then you'd probably bring in Max Crosby and then renegotiate his deal, save some money. build it out from there. So I'll start with Keenan Allen. Just taking more shots now, assuming he comes back. Like my court receiver. So if he retires, I will be fine. And, just waiting on the last round. Where I will take one more receiver. So, yeah, I think the Bears, it'd be a great fit for the Bears if they can land them. And I think there are ways they could do it. They are over the cap. They do need to spend their money to bring back some of their defensive backs, shore up, some of the offensive line if possible. But yeah, could they use a lead edge like Max Crosby? Absolutely. My guess is, look, if he's available, just about everyone's going to be in the market for him. But my guess is somebody with a cleaner cap situation would probably prefer to, target Crosby. 49ers could be interesting. Or Rams, like those are two teams who could use just a bit more pass rush. 49ers especially. But can you imagine Max Crosby and Jared Verse, and Rams have some extra picks. They kind of feel like they're all in. So they could trade their later first, or they could trade their earlier first, keep their later first. And because it's an earlier first, they don't have to trade as many total assets. You could see something like that. But if I'm the Raiders, I probably don't let Max Crosby go unless it's just a no-brainer deal. All right, so I'm looking to take one more receiver. Lawson was about to be on the clock, currently at 3.673. We'll see who he ends up taking. Goes Pacheco to go 3.773 build. So after this, I'm going to jump off. I know Combine's in full swing now. And we'll be on later tonight for our members only stream. And don't forget Meg's stream tonight with Pete on After Dark at 8 p.m. So, I'll take another veteran in Christian Kirk. We'll see where he ends up. Like I said, I really liked the core of this receiver room. Puka, Tate, who, as we talked before, should be one of the first receivers off the board and plenty of very positive landing spots. Courtland Sutton, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., and Khalil Shakir. I think it's a super strong core. Even if like Pierce or Pittman are somewhere else. And so then I just took two veterans. Kirk is almost assuredly playing somewhere and probably a top three option on the team. And Keenan Allen, I think, will be the same. I think when both signed, their ADPs rise, particularly Keenan Allen could have just a massive rise. If he signs somewhere that looks to have any sort of usability, he's got to go in the top 140. He just does it every year. I expect him still playing. So I'm going to just scoop that value right now. I'll just look quickly at some of the other teams and then get on out of here. Mr. Mufasa, 3.683. Daniels, Purdy, Shador, Gibbs, Walker, Stevenson. It's 3 core running backs, 3 later. I like that build. Pickens, McLaurin, Ricky P, Godwin in top 100. I love the Sheed price. So nice balance build there overall. Kittle, but tax on Barner and Otten. I have my concerns about Kittle, but I do want to have some of them. It's just I wish he was going like 140. King QC 3782, Lamar, Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, Barkley, Bucky, double anchor there, and just hacking on guys. Mason Spears should be pretty okay. Charbonnet could be a late season guy. Mitchell, James, Hempaz to be number 2 there. JSN, Flowers, Tyson, Addison, Wandale. Like how that receiver room turns out. Kept going with Coker there, Tucker, and Bachelor. Good values. I mean, really scooped up the fallen Mendoza and those Raiders. So I like that. And then Fannin, Kyle Pitts. Yeah, that's a good 2 tight end build. OSU Missy 3683. Herbert, Mayfield, Michael Penix. Herbert and Mayfield, obviously we feel great about. Penix, like I said, the Falcons are a wild card situation. If I get it, when you have Drake London to, take a bit of a risk there. Hopefully you get lucky. JT, Kyron, double anchor, Woody Marks, Tucker, Vidal, Mike Washington. That's a nice build. A couple young guys, Tucker should be a touchdown guy. Vidal, number 2 there. London, Evans, Buka, just, if Evans is back, could have top couple guys there with him. Marv, QJ, Debo, and then tacked on a couple guys late, Malachi Fields and Tez Johnson, and then Gadsden and Njoku, and taking the, rookie shot in Max Claire. I think that's fun. And then Losimo, 3773, Dak, Bryce Young, Kyler. Like how that quarterback room came together. Kyler, I think, is a very good value where he's going right now. Went, more of 0 RB approach. Warren, Price, Quorum, then kept going Kamara, Allen, Neal. So 2 synced shots. If they don't add a early running back, might end up having the room there. And then, Pacheco to round it out. Lamb, T-Mac, JMO, Waddle. So 4 guys in top 60 picks, and Denzel Boston, able to wait for a while. And then tack on, a vet and a young guy. So I like how that turned out. McBride, and then, Theo. And Schultz to me is just screaming value, 185. Good, solid rooms across the board there. So thank you everyone for joining. Like I said, check out our free Substack, our 1-week Substack trial for our Substack, our free Discord. Join us to become a YouTube member. We're doing our member-only stream later. I'll have a member-only show later this weekend. I'll be back tomorrow doing stream. Meg and I will be on tonight on the member-only stream. And of course, Meg will be on with Pete at 8 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for all your support. Don't forget to like this episode and leave a comment afterwards. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and I will catch you next time.